One day, there was a friendly ghost named Casper who just wanted to make some friends. Today, we're diving into the magic of that classic 90s movie and catching up with the cast to see where life has taken them. Let's get started. First up is Catherine, or as everyone called her, Cat, the sweet, down-to-earth teen who somehow found herself living in a giant haunted mansion. Played by Christina Richie, who was just 15 at the time, Cat had that perfect mix of curiosity, courage, and teenage realness that made you instantly like her. But man, you had to feel for her, always packing up, changing schools, and starting over just because her dad's job was, well, helping ghosts work through their issues. Not exactly your average take-your-kid-to-work day. Instead of sulking, Cat rolled with it, making friends with Casper, standing up to bullies, and even helping a lonely ghost find peace. Christina Richie had already nailed creepy cool as Wednesday Addams, but Casper proved she could carry a heartfelt, magical story too. And now at 45, she's still acting, still stealing every scene she's in, and still giving us characters we can't help but love. Next up is Dr. James Harvey, Cat's dad, the friendly neighborhood ghost therapist. Played by Bill Pullman, who was 41 at the time, he was this well-meaning, slightly scatterbrained widower who genuinely believed he could help ghosts cross over by talking through their unfinished business, kind of like a paranormal shrink. You had to feel sorry for him, though. Losing his wife hit him hard, and a lot of his work with spirits was really about trying to reconnect with her. Still, for a guy grieving and raising a teenage daughter, he had a surprisingly upbeat vibe, packing up their lives, moving from town to town, chasing down the next haunted house like it was the most normal thing in the world. Bill Pullman brought this perfect mix of warmth, humor, and I probably should have thought this through energy to the role. Now 71, he's still acting. Still as charming as ever. And for Casper fans, he'll always be the dad who'd go anywhere, even the afterlife, for his kid. And then we have Kerrigan Crittenden, the fabulously rich, unapologetically evil woman who basically made haunting look glamorous. If she wasn't so downright wicked, I'd say she was hot. Played by Morardi, who was 35 at the time, Kerrigan swept into Casper with a killer wardrobe, a voice dripping with sass, and zero patience for anything standing between her and the treasure hidden in Whipstaff Manor. Her greed is actually what set the whole story in motion. She inherited the mansion, realized it was haunted, and hired Cat's dad to get rid of the ghosts so she could get to that treasure. Without her meddling, Cat and her dad never would have ended up there, and Casper might still be hanging out lonely in the attic. Moriarty nailed that mix of elegance and over-the-top villainy, making Kerrigan unforgettable. And in true Casper fashion, even death couldn't slow her down. She came back as a ghost just to keep scheming. Now 64, Kathy's still acting, still rocking that unmistakable voice, and still proving that nobody does stylishly evil quite like she does. Let's turn our attention to the star of the show, Casper, the friendly ghost. Voiced by Malachi Pearson, who was 14 at the time, Casper was the sweetest, kindest spirit you could ever meet. Which is saying a lot for a ghost. While everyone else in Whipstaff Manor was loud, rude, and ready to scare, Casper just wanted a friend. And when Cat moved in, he finally found one. His gentle voice, full of warmth and innocence, made you instantly root for him. Whether he was floating around shyly, or pulling out that iconic line, "Can I keep you?" Malachi Pearson had done plenty of TV and voice work before Casper, but this role made him unforgettable to 90s kids. Casper's story was more than just spooky fun. It was about love, loss, and finding connection, even if you're stuck between worlds. Now 44, Malachi keeps a lower profile, but for fans, he'll always be the voice behind the friendliest ghost in movie history. Dibbs, played by the comedy legend Eric Idle, was basically Kerrigan's partner in crime. Though, let's be real, he was more like her overworked, underpaid sidekick who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was 52 when Casper came out, and man, he nailed that perfect balance of shady and hilarious. His mission was to help Kerrigan hunt down the treasure in Whipstaff Manor. But most of the time he was busy running from ghosts, fumbling with plans, and throwing in those quick, sarcastic one-liners that made you laugh even when you shouldn't. His connection to Kerrigan was simple. She had the big evil plan, and he was the guy reluctantly helping her pull it off, mostly because he didn't want to get on her bad side. But in doing so, Dibs accidentally became one of the funniest parts of the movie. Eric Idle's timing and expressions turned every scene into gold. And now, at 82 years old, he's still the king of turning total chaos into pure comedy. Up next is Amelia, played by Amy Brenamman, the gentle heart of Casper's story. She was just 31 back then, playing Kat's mom and Dr. Harvey's wife, whose passing left this quiet, emotional space that you really feel throughout the movie. Even though Amelia doesn't appear a lot, her warmth and kindness are what hold the whole story together, showing why Kat misses her so much and why her dad is so devoted to helping ghosts cross over. When Amelia shows up near the end and, in one incredibly selfless act, grants Casper his biggest wish, to be human again, even if it's just for one dance with Kat. It's such a beautiful, magical moment that hits you right in the feels. Now at 61, Amy Brenamman still brings that same heartfelt vibe to everything she does, proving that sometimes the quietest characters leave the biggest impact. Up next is Devon Sawa, the guy who brought Casper's human form to life. He was just 16 when they filmed it, and honestly, he totally nailed that shy, sweet, just trying to fit in vibe Casper's all about. The funny thing? We only get to see him for about 30 seconds. Casper's big human moment is basically a blink and you miss it cameo, but wow, what a moment. That slow dance and shy smile still stick with us. Here's a cool behind-the-scenes tidbit. Malachi Pearson, who voiced Casper and played the ghost version, wasn't used for the live-action scenes because the filmmakers thought he was too young to pull off teenage Casper. So they split the role. Malachi for the ghost and voice, Devon for the human scenes. And get this, Christina Richie, who played Kat, actually helped Devon get the part by recommending him during casting. Devon went on to star in movies like Final Destination and Idle Hands. And now at 46, he's still acting. Let's turn our attention to Brad Garrett, who brought Fatso, the mischievous ghost uncle, to life with a whole lot of personality. He was just 35 back then, and with that deep, booming voice and perfect comedic timing, Brad made Fatso both spooky and hilarious. The kind of ghost who might scare you, but then cracks a joke and you end up laughing. One of the funniest moments has to be when Fatso put on makeup and pretended to be Amelia. Poor Dr. Harvey nearly fell for it. That prank perfectly showed Fatso's playful, mischievous side, blending spooky and silly in a way only Brad Garrett could deliver. Now 65, Brad is still going strong with his iconic voice and larger-than-life presence across TV, stand-up, and voice acting. For fans, Fatso remains one of the most lovable and unforgettable ghosts around. Let's talk about Stinkie, Casper's other ghost uncle and the self-proclaimed King of Stink. Voiced by Joe Alaski, who was 43 at the time, Stinkie totally lived up to his name with some seriously smelly antics that kept everyone on their toes. He wasn't just spooky, he was the mischievous troublemaker who loved stirring up chaos and making the afterlife a lot more interesting. Joe Alaski was a voice-acting legend, known for bringing to life tons of iconic animated characters over his career, from Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to Grandpa Lou on Rugrats. Sadly, Joe passed away in 2016, but his incredible talent lives on in every character he voiced. And thanks to him, Stinkie remains one of the most memorable and stinkiest ghosts in Casper's ghostly crew. And finally, we have Stretch, the lanky ringleader of Casper's mischievous ghost uncles. Voiced by Joe Nipote, who was about 39 at the time, Stretch brought that sneaky, wide-grinned swagger that made him the mastermind behind most of the ghostly pranks. With his playful, slightly mischievous voice, Joe gave Stretch the perfect mix of troublemaker and comic relief. The kind of ghost who's always cooking up a new scheme to scare the fleshies. Joe has continued to work in voice acting and TV over the years, and now in his late 60s, he's still lending his unique charm to characters. For fans of Casper, Stretch's goofy grins and endless antics remain some of the most unforgettable moments in the film. If you enjoyed this trip down Casper memory lane, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more awesome throwbacks. See you next time.